Hi, everybody. Welcome to Real Stories of Hurting Moms. My name is Cathy Taylor, and I'm excited to be here with you tonight. And I'm really excited because I have my oldest daughter, Kristin, with us tonight as my guest. And it's always kind of nerve-wracking when we first get on here, but I'm really happy to have her here, and she's going to share with you some things in a few minutes, and we'll remind you of, she's been on before. It's been a couple of years, but before we even get started with that or sharing part of her story, I just want to remind you that if this is your, hi Anne-Marie, if this is your first time watching, to let me know that. I love to see who's watching for the very first time. And it always amazes me how many moms find us. And Facebook is a pretty amazing vehicle. But anyway, let me know if you're watching for the first time. And then also tell me where you're watching from. We have moms watching from all over the United States and Canada and even Ireland. I don't know if my friend Pamela is watching yet, who's in Ireland and England. And I mean, it's just amazing that we have mom. And one of the great things about social media and about technology is that we can all come together like this. So this is a community, ladies. It's a community, and as unfortunate as it is that we are in this community of hurting moms, it's amazing that we have each other, and it makes such a huge difference in this journey that we're on as hurting moms. Hi, April. So I'm going to remind you a little bit about Kristin. Hi, Anne. She's in Nova Scotia, a long ways away. I know it's getting late your time too. I had a mom in Nova Scotia in a group of mine. It was like, I think it's like 4 hours different. We're in California, so we're on Pacific time. So there's Yvette and Melanie. But let me remind you about Kristin. So Kristin is my oldest daughter. She's my firstborn. And she's a mom herself of adult kids. And we'll tell you more about what's going on in her life with that. But I don't even know where to start with this, really. The bottom line is, Kristin, a couple of years ago, I got a phone call from a friend of hers saying something's wrong with Kristin. She's having some kind of a breakdown. And I had been suspicious for a number of years, but you know, when it's your own kid, you don't want to believe it. And it turns out she's a drug addict. And all the signs were there, but and I work with addicts. And I always know, I pride myself in knowing, but with her, I just kind of turned a blind eye. And she and her 3 kids lived with us while she was in nursing school. And all I knew was that during that time, she was like, I thought she was bipolar. She had these mood swings that were, evil sometimes. So anyway, tell us a little bit about that. Tell us how you got started using drugs. How long you were a meth addict?
13 years.
For 13 years.
It started when I was going through my divorce. I tried it once and I was hooked from the first time. Did it all through nursing school, and my first, I think, 4 years at my job that I'm currently at, I'm still at. It was a mess.
And you've told me before, and this is unusual. And again, she and her kids lived with us while she was in school. She was divorced. She had 3 little kids. So we took them in while she was in school. And there was some, now when I look back, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I guess it's like we say, when it's your own child, we just keep denying, right? We keep hoping, we keep believing. I asked you, didn't I?
I denied it.
All the time.
I was always willing to take a drug test, and I always thought.
And I never followed through.
Yeah.
I should have.
You should have.
So anyway, but that day happened a little over 2 years ago, where she completely. What caused you to fall apart that day?
Oh, that day I went to go get my paycheck so I can get some more drugs, and my paycheck wasn't there, and I lost it. I literally went crazy.
Yeah.
And so I went to my friend's house, and he so happened to be on the phone with you. I grabbed the phone from him, and you asked me, "What are you on?" And I just broke down, and I told you, I don't remember exactly, but I wanted help. And you were with me in 20 minutes and took me to a rehab, and that was Gosh, the first day of my new life.
Yeah, it was rough though. So I have some connections with rehabs because I've worked with addicts and with families of addicts, and she was in Huntington Beach and I was in Long Beach. So for those of you who don't know Southern California, it's maybe like 20 minutes away on the freeway. And so I got on that freeway as soon as I talked to her and she said, I need help. I jumped in my car. I was off that day, off work, and I jumped in my car and I started down there. And on the way, I'm calling people. I had a friend, Sean, who I knew was working in rehab, and I called him up, and he gave me a number of another guy. And anyway, by the time I got to her, I took a picture of her driver's license and her medical. You had insurance.
Yes.
And sent it to the place and drove her straight to this rehab, and she was admitted. I dropped her off and I left, right?
Yes.
How long were you there?
3 months. I did intense inpatient, and then it goes down to outpatient where you're living just in a group home and you go to meetings every day, and yeah. That was the best thing that could have ever happened. Right?
I think, and a really important part of it, you had therapy while you were there, and they got you regulated on medication. She had really high blood pressure.
My thyroid level was out of whack. What else? Antidepressants. Just everything. Therapy for your mind.
She took a leave of absence from work, and she. At that time, I don't think we told him what the deal was. I called her a job, said she had emotional breakdown, which she did. And so now, last month, what's your clean date?
Oh, July 16th.
So on July 16th, she celebrated 2 years of sobriety. And, during those days, and I know a lot of you are going to be able to relate to this, during the days that she was using, and even after they moved out of our house, and she got her own place. I just remember she didn't come around much. I mean, we would have family gatherings and she would come and she would bring her kids, my grandkids, but they wouldn't stay long, or you'd kind of go in the bedroom. You didn't really interact with the family much. She kind of stayed off to the side. And so everything just makes so much sense now. I mean, hindsight, it makes so much sense. And now I was teasing her the other day, I can hardly get rid of her. They're coming here. She's like, what are you having for dinner tonight? And they live like 45 minutes away. She lives with her daughter, Cameron. And so what happened about a year ago in your life?
Oh my gosh, the best thing. I have a brand new grandbaby, just turned a year old, and he's the best thing. Absolute best.
So in case you haven't figured it out, that makes me a great grandma.
It does.
So, but she and her daughter and her daughter's baby, Noah, who just turned a year old, and he's become he's the light of all of our lives, really. Gosh. He's a happy little guy. And he just started walking. But I think, one of the reasons that I don't know, some of you may remember when I brought her on here, right when you were first out of rehab, I think.
I was still in rehab.
Oh yeah, when you were in the outpatient. Because I came on myself like the day I found out. I just thought, you know what, I'm here talking to these moms. I have to tell them. And I just tell them, we always talk about the other shoe dropping, right? And for me, that was the other shoe dropping. Remember, Kristin was another one of my daughters who was the inspiration for the whole. She is old enough to be a grandma, sure.
And she's old enough to be a great.
Oh well, I'm not really old enough to be a great grandma. But anyway, I don't remember what I was going to say. But I just feel like we're so blessed. And those of you who have a child that's still in the throes of addiction, don't ever give up hope. Don't stop praying. And in some ways, I feel really blessed because I didn't really know. I didn't know she was addicted. And I knew there was something wrong with her, but I didn't know.
There's so many times I wanted to tell you because I knew you would help me, but I wasn't ready to stop yet.
Is that why?
That was totally why.
You were afraid.
I wasn't ready to quit because I knew that you would intervene and that would be the end of my addiction, and I was not ready to stop.
Well, it wouldn't have been. It was your choice.
But I was ready to stop when I stopped.
Well, it got pretty bad. And then when she went into that rehab, I remember the next day you calling me and they were all going to go to the beach or something. And you're going, I don't want to be here. You were mad. You were angry about being there. You didn't want to.
I was tired. I just wanted to sleep.
Yeah. She just had to sleep it off. But they were very good and they let her sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just so amazing to me that, I mean, this whole process of, most of us, so many of you, and I know, I want to say again, Hurting Moms isn't all about moms of addicts. There's so many reasons why we hurt over our kids. Some of you have kids that have turned their backs on you or your family and walked away. For whatever reason that you're hurting over your child. There's Dee Dee says her son is homeless, and I know Dee Dee. Dee Dee was in one of my groups and has been one of our leaders. And for whatever reason that we're hurting over our children, at the end of the day, the bottom line is there is hope. There you go. Yvette says, where there is breath, there's hope. And we don't ever want to give up on our kids. We can't fix them. I mean, even when you were going through all that, like, multiple personality stuff that you did. I mean, where she was just mean. I even when you were going through all of that, there wasn't anything I could do to fix you. There was nothing. Mm-hmm. And so we just have to trust God. We just have to trust God. And then what Hurting Moms is all about is about us being able to take back our own lives. I mean, we get so consumed with these kids. We get so consumed. I was like that with her sister and with her. I mean, with all my kids along the way, I've gotten so consumed. And it's so wonderful and so freeing to be able to say, hey, you know what? I can't do anything about it. And I have a life to live too. And there's good things in life. And so I'm surrendering my child to the God who created them, who loves her more than I do, and let him do his work. And many of you hear me say often, I think sometimes, in fact, I think a lot of times, we are the ones that get in the way of what maybe God wants to do in our child's life. We're so busy picking up the pieces and providing a safety net that they don't turn to him. They don't turn to the Lord. Mary Beth says, you look like me. But anyway, so it's just kind of, I mean, that's what this whole thing is about. Learning how to love our kids in the midst of this, but not to be trying to fix them, not letting ourselves be consumed. And another thing that I say often, I think sometimes we become victims in this. I mean, we get so consumed with being a hurting mom that that's all we can think about. And we forget that there's so many good things in our lives. There's so many good things in our lives. So how are your kids? How old are your kids, first of all?
So 23, Daniel, he just graduated a year ago from Cal State University. My son David is 22. He has his own place and girlfriend, lives on his own. And my daughter Cameron, she lives with me and the baby.
Noah.
Cameron's 19.
19, yeah. So, there's a lot of fun things. This is a fun fact. When Kristin was born, so the doctor that delivered Kristin, when I had Kristin, delivered Cameron, her daughter, same doctor, and I was in the room. So we had 3 generations. That was pretty fun, but it's kind of off topic.
It's a little,
I don't know. There's a lot more about our story. So one of the things as Kristin was growing up, I had Kristin and her brother. And then I married a man that had 2 kids right around their age, and we had custody of them. And then after that, I married. And if you've read my autobiography, I have a whole background, a whole story of my own. And I went a long roundabout way to get back to the Lord and to follow His will and His plan for my life. So I've been married multiple times, and my current husband, we've been married for 22 years, but he had 2 kids. So there's been 8 kids that I've raised. And Kristin there's one older than her. One of her stepbrothers is 6 months older, but she's my oldest of 4 biological kids that I had. And when they were growing up, I stayed home for 10 years, and we had my ex-husband and I had 4 kids, my 2, his 2, and then we had 2. And and that was Sarah and Leah, and you've met both of them. Sarah helped me do the Mother's Day giveaway, and Leah has been on here once. She's actually the one who inspired the whole Hurting Mom thing. She's the one who I really recognized my heartache with and started Hurting Moms because of her. But anyway, I was telling Kristin tonight, there were times during that when they were growing up that I think I worked so hard for her brother or stepbrothers to feel like they had a mom and to make it a home for all of them, that my two kind of got neglected or kind of got pushed aside. And I think we can so often go back in our past and find reasons why we think that it's our fault. And I could dwell on those things and think about lots of reasons, lots of things that I've done in my life, why my kids might be hurting or in the condition that they're in. But then I realized, you know what? They're making their own choices.
That's true.
Right?
And you can't go back and beat yourself up over things. And that's it's not gonna do anything.
You're right. All I can do is bring you down. So I
have a lot of guilt about my drug use. And I used for more than half of my kids' childhood, and I have so much guilt, but I was taught in therapy, you can't go back and relive the past. It's not gonna help you. It's just gonna bring you down.
Yeah. So, and are you able to do that? Are you able to look at that? Look in there. Are you able to do that? Are you able to, kind of let go of the guilt that you have over that?
For sure. Because my relationships now with my kids and you and everybody are better than I ever thought they could be.
And we talk about it.
We're very open, and my kids ask me questions. I answer them honestly, and yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty open. There's no secrets. I'm going to tell you that old recovery cliche that we hear, we're as sick as our secrets, is really true. And so as long as we've got secrets and we don't share and we're not open, it just eats us up. Yvette says the best thing she ever did was join a Hurting Moms Breaking Free group. Yeah, you know what, ladies? There's a link above the video that you can click on it. I don't even know how to encourage you, how to strongly enough say it. These Hurting Moms Breaking Free groups, and they last for 10 weeks, and we use a workbook. But a miracle, amazing things happen in there. And I see women's lives just completely change, and they come in so broken and in so much pain. They can barely put one foot in front of the other. And I just start watching them change right before my eyes. And all the leaders tell me that. And it's the only answer is it's God. It's totally God. God is, he's in control and we're not. And what happens in these groups is it gives us tools to be able to actually surrender our kids. It's one thing to say it, right? I'll just surrender them, let them go. We can't do that. But this gives us tools to be able to learn to trust God with them. And another thing, a huge part of it, and I think this is what we were just talking about as far as sharing, is when you can talk about it with other people who totally get it, when you know you're not alone, it takes so much power out of it. It's just a real freeing thing. Sharon says, join. Sharon's one of our leaders. She's getting ready to lead another group. And April is the leader. You know what? We have amazing moms. That's what I love. Moms go through this. They go through the group, and then they come back and they lead a group. And that's the best. Really super, super good. Makes me happy. What else you got to say? She told me not to do this. She's like, so you can tell Kristin's kind of shy. And the first time we went on here, we were laughing.
I was hyperventilating. I was freaked out.
We were laughing. I guess she was like, yeah, she was kind of hyper. It was funny. But I love what I can see. Some of your Ginger says that the connection that forms in these small groups, it's amazing. There's a link above the video that you can click on to register for an online group, or you can check out our map. We have a group locator map. We're adding new groups to it all the time. There are groups all around the U.S. and Canada. There may be one in your area. So you can check that out. Also, I want to tell you, I forgot, I was going to say this at the beginning. Our website was down from like last Saturday, I think, up until today or yesterday. Our website hasn't been working. It's back up. You can go there. You can sign up for a group now. You can sign up for your free daily encouraging words. The autobiographies there in the store. There's all kinds of free resources on our website that you can look at, blogs and things like that. But anyway, I'm so happy it was back up. I just want to let you know that the website's up, hurtingmomsmendinghearts.org. And so I'm looking forward to seeing some activity on that website again. What else? What do you got to say?
Nothing.
She kept saying, she says, you're going to ask me questions, right? I said, no, I'm just going to let you talk.
No way.
Well, today, so like you said, you have great relationships with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a beautiful grandbaby. You've got 3 grown kids. Daniel, her oldest son, who is 23, graduated from college in December. When
it was last, yeah. Well, May was when
May.
He walked, right? And then December he finished it.
No, he walked in December.
No, May. Cameron became pregnant, I remember.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he's been out longer than I think. He's been out for a while. But anyway, he graduated from college. So he's like, that's really exciting for all of us. So that he stuck with it and graduated from college, and he's a great kid. And David is responsible and works for a construction company. And Cameron is an amazing mama to little Noah. And so, ladies, I guess we tell you this so that you know, if you have a child that's an addict, or even if you have a child who's pulled away, turned their back on your family, there is hope. And man, we've been through some messy times.
Yes,
we've been through some really hard times. And to be able to sit here together now like this, when she was, I'm going to tell the funny story about the beach.
Oh my goodness.
So in those days when she was in nursing school, and we lived near the beach, and she would go walking on the beach a lot. And I remember, I didn't know she was an addict. I didn't know she was using methamphetamines. And she would go walking on the beach, and she would bring home, like, I'm telling you, tubs of shells and things from the beach. And when we moved out of that house, hidden around behind the garage, there were just, I mean, I don't, dumpsters full of shells and sand dollars. And so we still laugh about it. We just laugh about the fact that, I didn't know. I just thought, oh, how therapeutic and wonderful that she loves walking on the beach and collecting shells. But now I know that she was basically tweaking out on the stuff on the beach and bringing it all home. And so, to some of you that are in the throes right now of horrible pain over your kids' drug use, or for whatever reason, this doesn't seem funny, probably. But my prayer for you is that one day you will be able to look back on it and say, man, what was going on? Mm-hmm. How could we have gotten through this? And I'm just so proud of you. I'm so proud of that you have, overcome your addiction, that you, she claims, but she would never, ever, ever
touch it again? Yeah. Never. Not in a million years.
Tell one of the things that you were sharing with me earlier today that might impact was how desperately you wanted to be through with it, and how you didn't know how.
Oh, that's true. I would envy people that were able to go to work or function without using drugs, or be able to smile or look happy or just be alive. And I would think, there's no way I'm ever going to be like that. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to quit. And I got to the point where I was using just to be able to function and feel normal. And
did you ever try to quit during that time?
I tried. Yeah, the longest I went was like 2 weeks, I believe. In the first 5 days, you just sleep and you eat and sleep and eat. And that was when I was off work, of course, and I was sick. But yeah, I thought that was going to be the way I was going to go. I thought I would never be able to stop.
I remember you told me that. You said, I thought this was going to be how I would die.
Yeah, honestly, that's really the way I thought I was going to die. From my addiction.
I'm glad you didn't.
Me too.
But yeah, so moms, be encouraged. Be encouraged that, and again, this went on for a long, long time. So, anyway, yeah, there's Joanne says she can't wait to get her hair cut and not sob. the hair girl doesn't know what to say. When will it stop hurting? In all honesty, the pain that we have over our kids, it doesn't just go away by itself. And part of that is we don't know what to do with it, right? We feel so helpless, and we just feel like we just want to roll up in a ball. That's why it's so important to get the support and get into a group where you can talk about it. You know, Joanne, your hair girl doesn't know what to say because she hasn't been there. But when you can be in a group with other moms that are experiencing the same thing, they know what to say. And you can talk to them and realize they understand. And there's something so powerful about that. It makes an amazing difference. And you're right, Debbie, it's all God, all of it. And so we can try to talk about this other places and with other people, but no one else really gets it but another hurting mom. And that's why it's so important to be in this community. That's one of our mission, is to get hurting moms all over the world into community so that we can heal together with God's help. And like Sharon says, it's a process. It is a process, and it's baby steps. We take one step at a time. So, yeah, we're all in this together, ladies. None of you are alone. And I just want to encourage you, if you haven't been in a group yet, or you're not sure you're ready, or you're nervous about that, at the least check out the book, my autobiography called The Story of a Hurting Mom. It's about my whole life, from the time I was a child, all my growing up, what I did. It's not very thick. It's a pretty simple little book. But all through the years that I was a hurting mom, and then what God taught me through that process, and what he gave me through that process is what I want to share with you. I feel this sense of urgency that what God taught me, and the fact that I've told you before, I have a son that's an alcoholic. I rarely hear from him. And I guess I have pain over that, but it doesn't define who I am, and it doesn't control my life, and it doesn't get in the way of me having joy in my life. And so that's what this is all about, is learning how to have our own lives, to have joy, to trust God with our kids, and be able to have the rich, full life he intends for us. And to say nothing of enjoying your other kids or the other people in your life. You know, we focus on the one, and we forget about the other ones that are doing right. The squeaky wheels get oiled. That's right. That's what they say. And there was a lot of times when Kristin was growing up that I had more, I was paying more attention to the other kids for one reason or another. So I just want to encourage you all that this is possible for anybody, and be able to just really try to surrender your kids and get into fellowship, get into community with hurting moms by getting into a hurting moms group. Our website's up. You can do that. I'm not trying to give you, this isn't like a sales pitch. I know it kind of sounds like one, but it's because I know that you're going to feel better. I know that you will. And Carol, yes, joy in your life again. I have joy in my life, regardless of what my kids are doing. And so that's what we learn how to do, and that's what happens in the group. And that's why I even wrote this program, because I felt God telling me to encourage other moms with the things that he had taught me. So I hope you all have a good week. I may pop on here during the week. Sometimes I'll do that spontaneously. I love you all, and I'm praying for you all. I'm thinking about you. I say it every week. I wake up thinking about hurting moms. I go to bed thinking about hurting moms, but with nothing but just tenderness and love and prayers. I pray, pray for you. Pray for each other. And so, Debbie, I'm so glad to see you on here and see your encouraging comments. By like Debbie says, stopping the bad thoughts by filling them with God's promises for our kids. Remember, God loves your kids more than you do. So take care, everybody. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.